Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to In the Game High School Sports Magazine on 106.9 Rocks. We are back home, as they say, after 2 weeks of going over and having our show on Boomer 95.3. We're back home on 106.9 Rocks this week. The Braves have a night game, and they're once again to let you know that game will be on in its entirety as soon as we go off the air here on In the Game High School Sports Magazine. A lot going on, as usual. It's a very active day here around the Chattahoochee Valley area, especially on the baseball diamonds. We have games in progress as we're starting the show. Columbus High is fighting to stay alive. Brookstone is doing the same thing over at Brookstone, fighting to stay alive in their series with Savannah Christian. And over across the river, Glenwood split their doubleheader today and will play for the state championship, I think, at 11 a.m. tomorrow over in Montgomery at Patterson Field. So a lot going on the baseball fields today, but we've also had a lot going on the last week. We got Glenwood won a third straight softball state championship, and we're going to have some members of that team, hopefully, in the second half of the show today, talking with us about what all went into that. I think it was a little bit unexpected, maybe not totally unexpected. And then hopefully we'll be able to talk to their baseball team again maybe next week after they've won a state championship, which will also be their third in a row if they're able to pull that series off. I'm joined, as usual, by John Carroll. We've got some special guests for you today. John, a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to start out. We're going to kind of switch gears from the spring sports a little bit. We're going to talk about a fall sport. We've got a special guest in the studio going to talk a little football. And then we got to talk to some Glenwood athletes about the softball championship, but a lot of other stuff going on around Georgia high school sports. Just yesterday over in Macon, the GHSA board met and adopted a new classification system for the state of Georgia. Georgia will now be a 6 classification state. Now, exactly what that means to the teams around our area here in our coverage area for In the Game High School Sports and in Columbus and the Chattahoochee Valley area will not be known until the FTE numbers come out, the student enrollment numbers and such, and that won't be known until a little bit later on. But there's several theories already out there as to what things will look like. Most likely the teams that are 3A now will move to 4A. Some of the teams that are 2A now will move to 3A, and that's not definite yet. It'll all depend on those FTE numbers, but it's very interesting.
It is, Mike. There's a lot of grumbling from this decision. It was such a close vote, 26 to 24.
Yeah,
and it sounds like it was Atlanta versus the rest of the state on the vote.
I read Jonathan Heater's story, and matter of fact, John, we may try to have Jonathan Heater on in the next couple of weeks to talk about all the issues surrounding this. He's a writer for the Macon Telegraph, and he's been intimately covering the reclassification story. He's written several pieces on it, and the story that's in the Ledger Inquirer today is, of course, the Macon Telegraph is a sister newspaper of the Ledger Inquirer, and he's credited with the story that's in the Ledger today, and we may try to get him on just to talk about all this. But the 4-8 or the other classification system that was being looked at with the 8 state champions was soundly defeated. It was like 35-15 in the vote, but then they turned right around and the vote was so close on the 6 classification system, 26 to 24, it narrowly passed. So there was a lot of question marks, and the battle may not be over yet, but for now it's been adopted, and we'll see what it looks like as it goes down the road. But it might be a good thing to have Jonathan on here and have him kind of give an in-depth view of what took place and what's happened and all of that. But at any rate, Georgia's going to be, as of right now, Georgia's going to be a 6 classification state, much like Alabama. And exactly what's going to happen with the teams around here, we're not 100% sure. But a lot of stuff going on. Unfortunately, some of the teams that we've been telling you about the last few weeks, the tennis teams at Brookstone lost in the semifinals. The boys soccer team at Brookstone lost in the semifinals. And so we don't get to have them back on and talk about a state championship, but we're still proud of the efforts that all of those put forth this week. And we do have some state champions, hopefully, that will be crowned. I know Russell County is headed toward a state championship in baseball as well. And got a lot of good things going on. Some track athletes are doing extremely well. Smith Station did very well again over in Alabama, so a lot going on.
I want to give a shout out to Coach Bird at Brookstone, the soccer team. They had a tremendous season. We had Coach Bird in here 1 week, a couple weeks ago, and the Page brothers, and they had high hopes and high expectations, and they just fell a little short. It sounded like the first game of the playoffs was a real barn burner. It went into double overtime, and Brookstone prevailed, but they met a tough team out of Atlanta, Walker High, and got shut out 2-0. But still, they had a tremendous season, and just want to congratulate the team and Coach Bird for a job well done.
All right, I just got an update. I'm following Chris White on Twitter over here. Ringgold has gone up 5-3 in the bottom of the fourth in Game 2 over at Columbus High. So Ringgold is leading that game. If Ringgold holds on to win, Columbus High will be eliminated. The Blue Devils are going to have to fight back in Game 2.
Well, Ringgold could have some intangibles in play here. I mean, that town, that city was devastated apparently by the tornado.
It absolutely was.
And it affected a lot of those families and a lot of those players. So those guys, that team could be playing for more than just baseball here. They could be playing for the whole city of Ringgold.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got a little extra motivation, and because of the tornado that came through Ringgold, it tore up the high school pretty bad, destroyed the middle school, destroyed all their athletic facilities. So they've been having to practice elsewhere and use and borrow fields around there to even get ready for this series. So there's a lot of motivation and a lot of community pride going on out there for Ringgold today, and they're playing with a little extra zip in them, I would imagine, just because they know that something like a baseball team and athletic team can unite a community after a tragedy like this has taken place. So Columbus High is having to fight against that today, and they got the fight of their lives going on right now.
They sure are. And also across town, you've got the Brookstone Cougars are fighting for their lives in the state playoffs. They lost Game 1 5-3 after leading 3-1 into the sixth inning. And then in Game 2, Tyler Jordan hit a solo home run in the first inning. Tim Kennedy hit a 3-run shot in the second inning. Brookstone was up 4-3 heading into the third inning, and last I checked, it is 10-9. So they are in a real shootout over there. I don't know what happened to the pitching. Joey Lewis is their ace, and he's on the mound, but apparently his arm is dead, and they might have to get another pitcher in there.
That's a tough situation when you get in tournament baseball and your pitchers that you're counting on don't exactly have a good day. It sends coaches scrambling. Let me tell you, I've been at the Peach Belt Conference baseball tournament at Golden Park all week, and when you get down into a tournament play, you're willing to do whatever it takes to win that game and stay alive. But then when you come to that next game, a lot of times coaches are left scratching their head. What am I going to do? I used everybody in that game to stay alive. Now I got to scratch something together. So it's a common theme throughout tournament baseball. When you get there, you got to do what you can to stay alive, and then worry about the rest of it when you do. So tough things going on, but both Columbus High and Brookstone are fighting hard here in town, and we're going to try to keep you updated on those as we go along. Jackson, we're going to go ahead and take a break right now. When we come back, we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk football and the newest football in town here in Columbus, and we'll tell you who we've got with us when we come back. You're listening to the In the Game High School Sports Magazine on 106.9 Rocks.